Hindley comes home and he is in a mood. He catches Nellie hiding Hareton, and this really makes him angry, and he threatens Nellie with a carving knife. He says he just took out the doctor, and 2 is the same as 1 when it comes to punishment. Then he declares he wants to kill more, but he doesn't really indicate specific people. Nellie doesn't seem to take Hindley seriously and tells him that she doesn't like the knife and would rather be shot. I guess she thinks he's not going to figure out that she's hidden the gun. Nellie claims he put the tip of the knife between her teeth. Really? Really? She claims she spat out the knife and insisted it tasted bad and refused to take it again.
Sure, Jan.
I guess she was calling his bluff, and it seems to work. But then he turned his attention to Hareton. Hindley threatens to crop Hareton's ears. He says it makes dogs more fierce. What in the world is this? I've never heard of this, thank goodness. But according to the internet, it's something you do to shorten the dog's ears or tails, and supposedly does make them more vicious. I'm guessing this is a way for him to say that Hareton is too weak or something, because otherwise I don't know why you would want your kid to be vicious. And then curiously, after that, he insists Hareton give him a kiss. And then he grabs up Hareton to take him upstairs. Hindley pauses at the stairs because he heard somebody coming. Hareton thought this was a really good idea to just jump from Hindley's hands. I don't know what he thought would happen, but he fell down the stairs. To Heathcliff's dismay, he caught Hareton, saving him from ruining his chances of hurting Hindley. Somehow, Hindley blames Nellie for Hareton's fall because, she didn't keep Hareton from him. Nellie gets Hareton from Heathcliff. Hindley tries to touch Hareton, maybe to soothe Hareton or to soothe Hindley, or maybe a little bit of both, I'm not sure. But Hareton screams. Nellie told Hindley not to touch Hareton. She said he hates Hindley, and then told him that everyone else hates him too. So of course Hindley goes to take a drink, but Nellie's like, no, don't. But Hindley wouldn't stop. But what was she thinking he was going to do, finding out that everybody hates him? Hindley brushes off Nellie's pleas to stop drinking for Hareton's sake. He says anyone would be better than him to take care of Hareton. Heathcliff, of course, wishes Hindley would just drink himself to death. Nellie gives up stopping Hindley from drinking and takes Hareton into the kitchen. She thought Heathcliff had went to the barn at this point. And then Catherine comes in, not to ask about any of the commotion or to apologize for what she was doing earlier in the last chapter. Instead, she wants to talk about herself. She asked where Heathcliff was. Nellie said he was at the barn, but in fact he was actually sitting on a bench just outside the kitchen, but he didn't tell Nellie or Catherine that he was actually there. Catherine is so unhappy. Nellie snarkily says, oh yeah, so many friends, so few obligations. I don't know why, but in this part of the book, I imagine somebody playing Catherine the way somebody would play Scarlett O'Hara, like the back of her hand always up at her forehead as she talks about how hard it is to be her right now. I'm sorry, that was probably not very good acting. And it does kind of take away from how Catherine does have kind of maybe a hard life, mostly because of how she feels about Heathcliff and how badly Heathcliff is being treated. So anyway, back to Catherine. She tells Nellie that Edgar asked her to marry him, and she said yes. But she wants to know if Nellie thinks she should have said yes. But Nellie's like, why are you asking me? You've already said it. What good is my opinion at this point? But Catherine insists on Nellie's opinion, so Nellie says that before she can answer the question, she needs to know, do you, Catherine, love Edgar? Catherine says she does. She loves him because he's handsome, he's young, he's nice, he loves her, and he's gonna be rich someday. Nellie says those aren't good reasons to get married, but Catherine doesn't care and declares she will marry Edgar anyway. So now Nellie turns to why she's unhappy. She says it's because in her soul she knows she's wrong to marry Edgar. She loves Edgar, but she really loves Heathcliff more. This must have piqued Heathcliff's attention. Catherine compares marriage to Edgar and Heathcliff. Marriage to Edgar would be like being in heaven, where she doesn't belong and is unhappy and would only wish to return to earth. With Heathcliff, it would degrade her. Now, when she refers to heaven, she doesn't mean heaven in the way that we think of it as being this sort of utopia that we all strive to go to. But she sees it as idealistic or some form of unattainable perfection. And the reason she would desire to return to earth is because she knows she would rather have genuine experiences, including love and passion, which she associates with Heathcliff, not Edgar. But marrying Heathcliff isn't a good option either because he has no social standing or money. She loves Heathcliff deeply, but that just isn't enough to overcome her need to conform to societal expectations. Heathcliff heard that, and he was very hurt by it. Instead of sticking around for the rest of the conversation, he got up and left. Nellie points out that Heathcliff probably feels the same way, and if so, he'll be very hurt when she marries Edgar. He'll lose his friend, love, and everything. Nellie asked her if she could bear the separation of Heathcliff after her marriage. Catherine naively believed she could maintain her friendship with Heathcliff after she got married. Catherine explains her real thinking for marrying Edgar. If she marries Heathcliff, they would be broke and have to rely on Hindley, and he would continue to abuse Heathcliff. But if she marries Edgar, she could convince Edgar to help Heathcliff to get away from Hindley. Oh, good Lord, that is the most naive way of thinking. And Nellie kind of agrees and is like, are you sure Edgar would be willing to help you? And also points out that this is like the worst reason to get married to somebody. Catherine completely disagrees. In her mind, it's a win-win situation. She makes Edgar happy, and she saves Heathcliff. She says that her greatest pains were Heathcliff's pains, and life would have no meaning without him. Oh, that's too bad that Heathcliff didn't actually hear that part of the conversation. Then she goes on to describe her love for Edgar as momentary, and it'll change and maybe even die over time. But her love for Heathcliff is deep and abiding. Oh, Heathcliff really needed to hear that one. Then Joseph came in and broke up their conversation. Man, Joseph has really bad timing. Catherine left, and Nellie continued making dinner. When dinner was ready, Heathcliff was nowhere to be found. Nellie tells Catherine she thinks Heathcliff heard some of their conversation, which makes Catherine really upset and scared and insists Joseph go out and find him. Joseph left, but when he came back, he said that he went out for the horses and didn't look for Heathcliff. So, bad timing and a jerk. After dinner, there was still no sign of Heathcliff, so Catherine went out to search for him. Around midnight, a pretty bad storm came in for about 20 minutes. After that, Catherine came in drenched to the bone. She insisted on staying in the living room to wait for Heathcliff to come home. Nellie and Joseph went to bed rather than stay up with her. The next morning, everyone finds Catherine still in the living room, but now she's sick. I really love how books have characters get caught in some kind of storm and then immediately get sick, as if that's the way it works. They called Dr. Kenneth to the Heights. Wait, I thought Hindley said he killed Dr. Kenneth. Okay, note to self, Hindley is a liar, among other things. Dr. Kenneth determines that Catherine is extremely sick. She's sick for some time. Several times Mrs. Linton, Edgar's mother, would come by to check on Catherine. Eventually, she insisted on bringing Catherine to Thrushcross Grange for their nurse to take care of her. Whatever illness Catherine had, she passed it on to Mr. and Mrs. Linton, and the two passed within days of each other. After she recovered, she returned to the Heights, saucier and more passionate and haughtier than ever, according to Nellie. When she returned, she found out that Heathcliff was still gone. He hadn't been heard of since that night. One day, Nellie and Catherine were in some kind of disagreement, and Nellie blamed Catherine for Heathcliff's disappearance. This really hurt Catherine, and so for several months, Catherine only spoke to her as a servant, not as a friend. She treated Joseph the same way since he was pretty outspoken. Dr. Kenneth told them that they needed to give her a break because of the illness and basically let her behave however she wished. Even Hindley avoided aggravating her. You know, with Catherine's personality, with everybody just letting her behave how she wants, walking on eggshells around her, trying not to aggravate her, must have just made her personality so much more. 3 years after her illness, Edgar and Catherine marry. Nellie was forced to leave Hareton and go to Thrushcross Grange to work for Mr. and Mrs. Linton. You know, Edgar and Catherine. At this point, Nellie realizes that it's 1:30 in the morning and she really needs to go to sleep, so she stops the story for the evening. Like Catherine, Lockwood got very sick the day after getting caught in bad weather, so he was okay with stopping for the night. Thanks so much for watching and listening. If you like this video or like what I do, be sure to subscribe for more videos.